Welcome everyone to Educational Wednesday. Today is setting up a GA4 lead event using Google Tag Manager. As most of you know, my name is Ron Sherbert. I'm with Marketing for Higher Education, and we help colleges and universities increase their enrollments and reduce their marketing costs using tools like GA4, Google Tag Manager, and others. So before we get started, we always talk about using the framework. The most important thing about measurement is having a plan before you start your measurement. Everybody starts here, marking the blind, just throwing things against the wall, hoping something will stick. And we all hope that we get here where we can predict our results and know what our marketing results are going to be before we even start our campaigns. The framework has 3 steps, and it's the plan, the build, and the launch. In the plan section, we have what we call KIA, questions, information, and action. You want to know what questions you want to get answers for. You need to know what information you need to collect to get those answers. And more importantly, you need to know what action you are going to take to improve your marketing once you get the answer to those questions. The next step is the build, where we have results, traffic, and story. You get results from the questions you asked. Your traffic is the who, the what, and the why. Who is sending you traffic? What type of traffic are they sending you? And why are they sending you that traffic? That is going to give you a story and put you into the launch phase, where you're going to listen to the conversation that people are having with your website. You do this by looking at trends and patterns. Remember, the truth is in the trend and the power is in the pattern. Then we're going to go into forecast. Forecast is another important step in this framework, because you always want to be measuring against your forecast. You want to have a target that you're trying to hit, and you want to know why you didn't make that target, or you want to know why you made that target. And last but not least is optimize, where everybody wants to be. Many people think it's the hardest, but it's actually the easiest. All you have to meet is your visitor's expectation. So let's jump into it. Here we are back at Teaching GTM container. So we're going to be creating a lead. So what's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to measure.tips, GA4 Reco /GA4 Reco. And it's going to bring us to the page that we've talked about before. And I like using these. But over here, when you come right down here, you see generate lead. And it says when someone submits a form or request for information. And you also see sign up down here, and it says when someone signs up for an account on your website app. We're going to use generate lead. And the reason why you want to use what they use is because in the future, if they were to create some kind of report or something that was looking for this, and you had, say, just lead, it wouldn't show up for you, and you would have to go back and change everything. So always try to name anything that you're doing with a platform the same way the platform names it. So now if I click on this generate lead, it brings me over to this page, which is the page I probably like the best. And the reason being is that all the recommended events are right here on the right-hand side. Okay. And everyone that you click on will bring you right up to what it is. Okay. So we click on generate lead. Here we are. If I was to click on purchase, it would bring me to purchase. But here we go, click on generate lead. And now these are parameters that's telling you that you must have, okay, if you want to record a value for your generate lead. So if you want to say, you know, somebody filled out a form and you wanted to give them a monetary amount, then you would need these two. Very seldom do we use these, but I just wanted to let you know they are there. Okay, so we're going to copy generate lead. And we're going to come over to our Google Tag Manager. And we're going to want to create a new tag. And it's going to be a GA4 event, like it always will be, most likely. And we're going to do our config tag. And we're going to paste in generate lead. And over here, we will name this GA4. And we would call, for this, we'll call it generate lead. But normally we would give it a naming convention of what it is, of what the lead is. So say the lead was a, white paper on something, a topic, we would put the topic or whatever we're generating there, okay? Because we want to know what lead we're generating. But for now, we're just going to use this as generate lead for you guys, and we need a trigger. So what do we need for a trigger? So can we use any of these? Not really. So we're going to click on a new one. And before we do that, we're going to say, let's come over here and let's stay here and save this before we create a trigger. Okay, we'll just save the tag without a trigger. And we're going to do a preview. And we're going to connect. Because now we need to know how we're going to record this. Okay, so say somebody filled out a form and they joined our email list, or they asked for more information. Okay, and this was the thank you page. So when they landed on this page, we wanted to fire the generate lead. Okay, so what do we have here? We have this URL right here. Okay, so let's come back over here and we'll get out of here. And we're going to come to our tag, which is the generate lead. And now we are going to create a trigger. So we're going to come over here and we're going to put page view. Now, if we put all pages, it will fire on all pages, and that's not what we want. So we want to click on here, and this is where you have to make sure your logic is correct. Okay, so say I had two things that generated a lead for me. Okay, and the first one was what we just talked about. I could put page URL contains, or I could put page path contains. I like to use page path. Other people like to use page URL. Depends on your personal preference. So actually what I need to do is I do need to go to that site again, because I forgot to copy the URL. So we're going to hit thank you for joining, and we are going to copy this right here. Now that we got that copied, we'll come back here and we'll paste that in right here. Now, say the next one was I had a lead that was also for, can you join our email list? Right, so when I click on this one, I had this one. We wanted to call this a lead too. Okay, and so both these pages are going to generate a lead for us. So now if I come over here and I hit plus and I put page path contains this. Now, will this work? No, because if you look at this right here, it says fire this trigger when an event occurs and all these conditions are true. Can these two conditions be true at the same time? No, they can't, right? You can't have be on the same two pages at the same time. So this wouldn't fire on either one of them, okay? So let's get rid of this one and just keep this one. And we're going to call this a page view. And we'll call this the thank you page. Okay, but again, normally we would name this after whatever our lead was, okay? Well, actually, we would name it what our lead was, what the landing page was. So we are going to save this. So now we have our tag and we have our trigger, and we're going to save it. So we're going to run a preview again. And you must say, boy, you run a lot of previews. And we do, and you will be running a lot too, because you always want to trust but verify. And what we call it TBV, and TBV means trust but verify. Even though you believe it's going to work, you want to make sure it's working. So we hit preview. And here we are at our tag assistant. We'll connect it. And here's our generate lead. And over here, you look, it didn't fire. And come up to this page. Why didn't it fire? Because when we click on it, okay, or when we come down to the container loaded, and we click on this tag, it tells us it didn't fire because it didn't equal this, right? The page view did not equal demo contains demo, thank you for joining, okay? And if you want to look at the names, the page path contains demo, thank you for joining. It didn't do that, okay? So we're going to get out of there. And now we're going to come back here and we are going to click on thank you for joining. So now this should fire the generate lead. That's what we're expecting. Come over here and we don't see it. Not here, not here, but here on the container loaded, we should see it. And there it is. And why did it fire? Because it matches. And if you click on the values, you can see it contains demo. Thank you for joining. Okay, so that's what we have. Now let's go to analytics and let's check to see what we got coming in here. And there is our generate lead. Okay, and the page title is thank you for joining. So that's the way that works. Now, going back to the scenario that we were talking about, let's close out of here. If we had it where we wanted to have this fire on those two different pages, how would we do that? We would come to our triggers and we would come to the page view, thank you, and we would make a copy. Okay, and we'll get rid of this. Okay, and what we will need to do is come over here. Actually, we may already have it. Let's check. So we would click on here and we would say the page path contains, let's see if I still got it in here. I do. Okay. So, and this one would say email list. Okay. And we will save this. So now when you save a trigger like that, it doesn't automatically show up on the tag. So if we come to the tag and we said generate lead, we see this one, but we don't see that one. Okay. So what I will do is I will say new plus, and I will come here and I will say email list. Now the logic on this is this will fire this tag if the page view equals email list or right here equals thank you. So now it will fire on both of them. Okay, so we'll save that and close out of this, hit preview, connect it. And the one thing I did want to show you that I will give you a quick thing. So over here, when we talked about triggers, and we clicked on a new one, we have these right here. And we talked about that page view and window loaded aren't the same, but we have consent initialization, page view, DOM ready, and window loaded. When we come here, okay, in our tag assistant, you're going to see the consent initialization. That is when you need to have something consented to before you initialize it. You're working with a piece of software. Doesn't happen too often. Initialization, which will fire your your config tag, your container loaded, which will fire your page views. Okay, so we don't have nothing fired here. And if we come over here and we click on thank you for joining, and we come back here, shouldn't fire here, shouldn't fire here, but it should fire here. And it did. Okay, so now if we went to the next page, okay, and came back here, it wouldn't fire, or it shouldn't fire. We're expecting it not to fire. Okay, and if we came to this container loaded, it didn't fire. But if we say, can you please join our email list, we would expect that to fire again. So when we come here, container loaded, generate lead, fire it again. Okay, so that's how you would use the triggers to fire the same event on more than one page. And we'll go into other ways how to do that later on with different trades too. So here we go. Just remember that when it comes to the tag, it's an and statement when all things are true. And with the trigger, it's an and or statement. Okay. Okay, that is going to wrap up our Educational Wednesday, building leads in GA4 with Google Tag Manager. As you know, we put out this free content every Wednesday on Educational Wednesday, and we have other free content also. If you want to subscribe, you can go to mhe.tips/subscribe, or you can go to marketing for higher education/subscribe. If you have any suggestions on topics that you want us to cover in the future, please reach out to us and let us know, and we will try to cover them. Also, if you have any questions about your measurement and need any help, do not be afraid to reach out to us. You can reach out to us by reaching out to me at ron@marketingforhighereducation.com, and either myself or a team member will get back to you. That's going to wrap up this Educational Wednesday. Sign up GA4 lead event with Google Tag Manager. We will see you next Wednesday. Have a good day, everyone.